is an encore presentation. Welcome to Joy of Business with host Simone Milasas, a dynamic business leader with a difference. Simone has founded and operated many businesses from a young age and has always done business differently. Today, Simone is the worldwide coordinator of Access Consciousness and travels the world presenting Joy of Business programs using Access tools and empowering people to know that they can create business in a different way and make money doing it. Simone Milasas, weekly on OMTimes Radio.
Hey everybody, welcome to OMTimes, Joy of Business with Simone Milasas, your host. Now, I am in an unusual place. Well, I think it's unusual. I've never been here before, and I've traveled all over the world. It's a brand new place for me. It's Denton, Texas. Who would have thought I'd be in Denton, Texas? So I'm actually here for a Conscious Horse, Conscious Rider, Conscious Horse class. I'll get it right soon. With Gary Douglas and Susie Godsey, and we're learning how to sort of deal with horses and ride better and have a better relationship with animals, which, you know, one thing I noticed today is interesting. I was watching this horse get into the back of a trailer. And I was thinking, you can never put a time span when you're dealing with animals. Animals have a totally different sort of frequency of their own. They don't function from time. Like if you were like, yep, I'll be there in 5 minutes, and then this horse wouldn't get in the back of the trailer, you're like, nope, it's going to be 15 minutes, but you have no sort of control over that. And I was looking at that thinking, I wonder if we could actually take that into our own lives, and what would it look like if we didn't allow time to control us and didn't have it as an element of our lives. It was just something that we used to our advantage. So anyway, I'm in Denton, Texas. It's probably about 30 minutes drive from Dallas, Texas. It's really, really cold, which I'm not used to. So I've been spending a bit of time indoors as well. And I have today with me a good friend of mine, Stephanie Richardson. Whereabouts are you right now, Stephanie?
I am in a place that I'm rarely at, which is my home in Atlanta, Georgia.
I love that because we get to travel all over the world, and it is unusual to be at home sometimes nowadays. And we have a great topic today. It's called, well, we're going to give you 3 secret weapons to expanding your business beyond your niche. So I brought Stephanie Richardson in here. She's an artist. She's also an Access Consciousness Facilitator. And let me have a look here. Well, you've been an Access Consciousness Facilitator for some years now, right? How many years?
Yeah, since 2012.
Since 2012.
However many years. So we're 2016, so going on 4 years, yeah.
Yeah, it feels like even longer than that. Sometimes when you do things, it just feels like it's been forever. You can't remember a time before that. So,
well, and the interesting thing, oh yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead. No, you go.
Well, I was just going to say, and the interesting thing is even before taking my first Access class, there were things that I had sort of discovered that once I started attending Access classes and actually applying the tools, I realized that I had been using the tools for, half my life already. So, so it is one of those things that it seems like lifetimes and lifetimes that I've been using the tools. And so it's really fun to actually, discover them and use them more officially and get all the nuances of it. It's been a real gift.
No, it's true. I get that too. I mean, I started a business, Good Vibes for You, years ago. And I was just saying to someone the other day that I wrote this whole piece on vulnerability because I desired people to have more vulnerability with each other when they met each other. That's what I saw. That's what I saw that the world could and should look like. Instead of people sort of building up all these barriers between each other when they didn't know each other, it was sort of like, hey, what if it was more relaxed and you were willing to receive more from people? So I wrote this whole piece as this was my this is the business I'd like to have. And I wrote that for me. But it's interesting then coming across Access years later, and vulnerability is one of the things that they talk about and what you can create from vulnerability. So, yeah, I get so many of us has been using the Access Consciousness tools because we be that. And it's something that we know. It's something that we know is correct in our world to function from that way. And yet Gary Douglas, when I met him, one of the first seminars I ever went to, I was like, oh my goodness, this guy is talking about everything that I'd like the world to look like, everything that I already know, but he was making it way more succinct. Like he actually had these tools and processes to create the world that I knew should exist. So, of course, I was like, I need to know more about this.
Yeah, and making it succinct, but also the one of the things that I've loved is that it really is directly related to the vulnerability piece, is that the whole thing of, consciousness includes everything and judges nothing. And, I had been taught, and this goes into business too, I've been taught over and over and over again that the way to success and the way to having a better life and the way to being a better person, the way to create your portfolio, the way to, write your business plan was really to look through the eyes of judgment, to judge everything you're doing, everything you're saying, everything you're creating, see if it measures up. And then, and then change things from there. And one of my favorite things is that, what if our lives and our businesses didn't actually require us to judge them in order to create them? And what if that actually is something that we've been destroying our businesses with instead of actually creating what could exist?
I love that. Yeah, because I had a very good friend of mine too in Brisbane, Australia. She once said to me, you have to, and part of Access Consciousness is about, functioning from no judgment. And she said to me, but you have to judge. That's how you create. And I was like, no, what if there's a different way to create? So it's like how many people out there and how many of you listening have decided that judgment is the way to create, whereas in truth, judgment is the way that you destroy. So everything that is and everywhere that you've been using judgment to create, where what you've actually truly been doing is destroying your business, your life, your living, etc., where you destroy and uncreate it, times a gazillion. Right now, I'm good and bad, pock and puddle, all nine shorts, boys and beyond. Again, if you've been listening to the show, you'll know where to go. But if you're new, you can go to theclearingstatement.com and find out what the hell I was just talking about with that clearing statement. Or you can also go to accessjoyofbusiness.com and check out the little section there on Access Consciousness, and it'll give you the information as well. But you know what? Use it. It works. So, let's get down and dirty with our topic here. The first thing I wanted to ask you, because there's 3 secret weapons to expanding your business beyond your niche, and if we're smart and manipulative, we'll get more than 3 secret weapons. But for now, let's talk about your niche. Because I see some people create the niche as something that will expand their life and their business, and then I see people limit themselves by going, for one, I don't have a niche, and stressing and freaking out about that, or making it always about their niche rather than the expansiveness of their life. So can you tell me a little bit more about sort of how you see a niche working for you or with you?
Oh, well, that's actually an interesting topic. Well, so the thing about having a niche, I love the way that Stephen Bowman and Chutisa Bowman actually talk about it.
Which are regular people on my radio show, so I think you know
amazing. Okay, cool, yeah. And one of the things that really blew my mind, I'm going to rewind for a second and go back to the past before I had a different perspective. So what I've been taught being an artist and a photographer and creating a portfolio, which this is actually relevant to non-artists as well. Like, one of the things that you're told is that you need to have one way that you create. You need to have one look. You need to have one thing you shoot, and you need to focus on that, and you need to be good at that, and that's the only thing you need to do or let anybody know about. And that's how you become successful. Now, the part of that I have since found not to be accurate is that kind of focus and to the exclusion of everything else. That part is the destructive part. But what I have seen is that people don't have a tendency to be very good at figuring out on their own how to use you or use your services. And so the thing that the niche addresses is it gives people a way that they know what they can contact you for. So, people aren't creative. They're not going to like try and figure out how to use you for the most part. So you actually giving them information on how they can use you will actually allow them to call you and make appointments with you, or, use your services or buy your artwork or whatever that is. So that's the one way that's kind of useful. It's basically showing people how they can use what you do or, what you make. Now, the thing with the Bowmans that I loved hearing them was that they said, you may, if you're in security systems, for instance, then you may think that what your niche is security systems, and so you focus on that. And then they said, but what if your niche is actually safety? And if your niche is safety, then now no longer, you're not just a maker of security systems. You have a way to actually, you're giving your clients what they're looking for, which they're asking for safety. So now you say, you can use me for all your safety needs. But now you get to branch out into everything that is in that category. So now you can do anything that involves safety, and you can reach out to other businesses that are in that industry or correlated industries. And now you can begin to develop new products and new services. So now you're not just selling alarm systems. Now you're actually in a whole different business, but it's still serving that need that your client has. That's the kind of niche that can actually expand your business instead of thinking that you're in the business of alarm systems, which will completely cut your business to bits, especially if the alarm business changes, which, for instance, it is right now with people being able to use their smartphones and all sorts of other stuff for safety purposes or what people perceive as safety. So, if you're only an alarm company, then you'll never notice when that industry is about to die. Whereas if you're in the safety business, all of a sudden you're looking for all the other things that you can add. And that brings us to our first secret weapon, which is, what can I add to my life? What can I add to my business that will begin to create, more, like right away?
I love that. And it really is about remaining in the question too, because it's like, it's funny when you're talking about the safety business, as soon as you started talking about it, I thought of an ex-boyfriend of mine who's a rock climber, but he created a huge safety business in Australia, like him and his best mate, who were avid rock climbers. That's what they loved doing all the time, and they thought it was a hobby. Yet they ended up creating these safety systems for anything from a circus to, doing stuff off tall buildings, etc. But that became their niche. But they were never actually, they didn't sort of go to the conclusion of what that looked like. They kept playing with it because for them, they were like, oh my goodness, we get to actually climb stuff and do stuff at work, which matched the energy of the rock climbing and the fun that they were having. And it's like, and their business ended up getting so big that they actually started to question if that was what they truly wanted, because they just would sort of, had lots of fun rock climbing, and then all of a sudden they were the ones that were, sought after in Australia. So anyway, we're still talking about niches and how to go beyond that, and we're off to a break, and we'll be back really soon with Simone Milasas and Stephanie Richardson on Joy of Business. Don't go away.
Gary Douglas and Dr. Dane here are facilitating a class for the Earth with the Earth. The Earth class is a special 3-day class designed to give you the tools to create change wherever you go on this beautiful planet of ours. Join Gary and Dane in Houston, Texas, or online January 24th to the 26th. Go to www.accessconsciousness.com/earthclass for more information. All proceeds will go to El Lugar, a non-profit foundation dedicated to creating greater ecological possibilities.
Host your show on IOM-FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM-FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Circle of Hearts Radio is a sanctuary on the airwaves. Join me, Grandmother Elia, in the circle on Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern, as I share information to both enlighten and nourish your soul.
The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is. The cutting edge of conscious radio, OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Joy of Business. You're with Simone Milasas and Stephanie Richardson, and we're talking about the secret weapons to expanding your business beyond your niche. So one of the things that we were just sort of mentioning is in the last segment is like sort of not going to conclusion. So I just wanted to give you guys a process. What have you made so vital about having a niche? Because I see so many people sort of start to limit and stop and roadblock themselves from creating a niche rather than the expansion of anything as possible. So what have you made so vital about having a niche that keeps you from the infinite possibilities of creating your life beyond this reality? And everything of that is times a godzillion, we destroy and uncreate it. Right, wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyond. I mean, if you look at it like, you know, I work with Access Consciousness and yet I have joy of business. I love business. Business is my, you know, is a thing that I think is one of the most creative things in the world. And yet I was looking at the OMTimes radio show and I was like, okay, so it's joy of business. And I was like, but to me, that's anything. It's like you wake up in the morning, you have blood, you know, running through your veins, and it's like you're creating your life and your life is your business. So I looked at it and went, okay, let's do February, the business of your bodies. So I'm going to do 4 calls on the business of your bodies, and I've got different people coming on and talking about that because your body is your business too. So it's everything. But if I limit my joy of business to being just about operating a functioning business that's bringing you money, then it's like it doesn't sound as much fun. Whereas what could you do right now to expand your current business beyond what you've decided is your niche? And everything as that is times a godzillion where you destroy and uncreate it.
Yeah.
Right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyond. So one of the things I wanted to talk to you about too, Stephanie, is, I mean, you're an artist. You're a fabulous artist.
Yes.
You've taken some amazing photographs, and you are an incredible person. I just want to add this in. You are an incredible person to work with. So it's like when you've taken photos of me a few times, and when you're taking photos, and it's like, it ends up being, even when you're like sweating, it's like, it feels like it's 500 degrees out there. And in Costa Rica, we did a photo shoot, and it's like, seriously? Yeah. It's like, it's so hot. The sun is blowing on my eyes, and it's like, smile. But you make it so much fun, and you have this place of taking away any judgment that actually is existing there to just be this place of being totally present with what's happening. What I wanted to ask you about is, how did you start your career as an artist? Like, what happened? Where was that you went, ooh, this?
Oh, that's a great question. So my parents, I guess I've always been artistic, whatever that means. I'm not even sure what that means, except for, and so the thing
I would say you see the world in a very different way. Because I like seeing you, when you look at you, and you have this look on your face too, that you're like, oh, this. And the level of enthusiasm and excitement from an idea that has no judgment and no conclusion, no limitation, that can just be born and bred as it is what I see you function from with your artistic skills. That's fine.
Yeah, that's when that's what I love. I love that. I love that. I love that. I love whenever you show up in the moment and basically the entire idea is that you create something. So when I was working with you and when I work with other speakers and entrepreneurs to take pictures that will actually create for them and for their businesses, that's what I go in with it with. Okay, so what can we create together? What can we create in this place? What can we create in this moment? What can we create? ? And I feel like that's a skill that we can actually use not just in a single moment in a photo shoot or, whatever that thing is that brings you joy, where you get to be present in the moment. But I feel like that's something that we can actually use on a much bigger scale, and if that's your niche, right? Like being a available for the magic of the universe to actually show up. If that's your niche, like you have so much ability to create businesses in all sorts of areas. But what happened whenever I was a kid is that my parents were in business, and I both loved business, but I also saw what it created in their life. So I was a little bit resistant to just doing business, but at the same time I felt like that's what you were supposed to do. So I started trying to create business the way that my family created business. You know, that's how you do it right. You do it the way that you've seen it done. You do it the way that your parents have done it. And what ended up happening is I couldn't complete anything that I did when I was doing it like someone else was doing it. I just couldn't ever seem to get the pieces of it to fit together right. But what I noticed was that the things that I always completed was the artwork that I was working on, and I was able to always produce that, and I was able to put it out in the world. And I realized in that moment that where I had been putting my attention and what I had been trying to create wasn't matching what I actually desired to be, what I actually desired to create. And that's where the art as a business actually really began, was I went, wow, this is the one thing that I apparently really want to do, because it is the one thing that I complete over and over and over again, that I actually share over and over and over again. Maybe this actually is a viable business.
So how much have you changed your career as an artist, and how much have you, like, where's the places that you've seen that you've created as a limitation, like creating it as a niche, and what have you done to change that sort of thing?
Yeah, one of the biggest things that I did that was a huge limitation, that I just thought it was the way that you had to create business, was that as an art, just in general, I thought you had to create in one place first. Like you become an artist that's recognized first in your community, or you become a small business person. So you create a small business first, and then you grow a bigger business that reaches more places. And then you grow, and maybe if you're lucky, you get to go worldwide. And for me, that was a total and utter lie, and I didn't even know it. So I actually had to branch out around the world first. Like me branching out around the world was actually what worked for my business, where I had been trying to be small, like to create it as a small thing first and then get noticed that way first. And, it was all these firsts, which none of that actually involves asking a question. It was definitely like, well, the way you do this is, you get 5 clients in your area, and then you promote it in your area, and then and that's not a question. So when I started asking more questions, I realized, I was like, wait, I've been on all these trips around the world, and I haven't bothered to, A, let anybody know that I'm a photographer outside of my hometown, and B, I haven't taken my camera with me, so it's not even a possibility. And then I was like,
that's pretty funny.
It's really funny. And so then I was like, wait, okay, so 2 things. I can bring my camera with me, and I can let people know that I'm a photographer. And that expanded my business way beyond what, creating in a tiny space, in a tiny studio, in a tiny, it changed things a lot. And that was all based on asking very simple questions. What would happen if I brought my camera with me?
So exactly. Oh, I could take photos. So 2 of the things I'd love to talk to you about too is, one, if you could, I'd love to give the people here some tools to actually, take away with them of what sort of questions they could ask. And the second thing I want to sort of look at is it's interesting that you say you go away and you didn't take your camera and you didn't tell people you're a photographer. Okay, how can you actually take photos if you don't have your camera? So it's like, how often do you see people actually ignoring or avoiding what they're fantastic at? And it's like, what sort of tools can you offer, or what processes can you offer for people to change that? Because I get it's a huge acknowledgement. Like we were talking about vulnerability right at the beginning. And it's sort of like this huge amount of vulnerability that you have to go, hey, I'm Stephanie. I'm a photographer, and I charge this amount and blah, blah, blah sort of thing. But it's like to actually step into acknowledging that that's what you're great at.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, that's so many different things all at once. The acknowledging.
I know. Sorry.
No, and I love it. The acknowledging. One of the big things that I found has been that has gotten in the way for a lot of people is almost not even being willing to admit what we desire to have, which it seems like you would always know what you want or what you would like to create in your life. But what I see a lot is especially artists, and, you know, I hate to make the men and women thing, but I see a lot of women sort of putting other needs, well, no, guys too. I'm wrong. That's not a men and women thing. Putting other people's needs first, to such the degree that you don't even recognize what it is that you would really like to do, because you always just assume that you have to be with your family in a certain way, or you have to be with your community in a certain way, or you have to be, you know, with even your pet in a certain way, you know, like all these different pieces where you almost won't even let yourself know, I would really like to travel the world and be an artist, and you almost shut yourself down before you even get there. So, you know, it's like, okay, well, if I will do my art on the side, and I'm just a dabbler. So if that's something that's going on, for you, that the thing that you love the most, you've already assumed that you can't be or you can't do, I would ask, would you be willing to destroy and uncreate that?
Yes.
Yeah. Good, bad, right, wrong, pod, talk, all nine, boys, shorts, and beyonds. And you can begin to ask, and we're about to come up on a break, but you can begin to ask even right now, if I didn't need to please anyone else, and if I didn't already know what I have to do,
yeah.
Are there any choices that I might have that I've never considered? And
right.
Anything that doesn't allow that to show up, will you destroy and create that?
Yes.
Times a godzillion, good, bad, right, wrong, pop, pop, all nine, boys, shorts, and beyonds.
So you are correct. We are about to go to a break. And when you ask those questions, like, do this replay again and have a look at that question and write a few things down. Because it's like, how often do you ignore what you truly like to choose? So please don't go away. You'll be coming back to Stephanie Richardson and Simone Milasas on Joy Business on OMTimes. And you want to check out Stephanie in the break, go to www.stephanierichardson.com. Thanks for joining us.
Have you ever wondered how to change your love paradigm? The secret key is finding a love partnership, not just a regular connection. How do you find these? Through conscious relationships. Ascending Hearts Dating is a dating site for people like you that believes in second chances and a different type of spiritual connection. Try Ascending Hearts for free today at ascendinghearts.com and change your love paradigm. Ascending Hearts, the premier dating community for the spiritually awake.
The Conscious Parenting Radio Show provides inspiration and resources for loving, empowering, and respecting your children and yourself. Join me, Timothy, every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time as we consciously explore proven ways of living together in happiness, health, and harmony.
Host your show on IOM-FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM-FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Welcome to a special one-time class based on Dr. Dane Here's Being You, Changing the World book. This class has no prerequisites and uses the toolbox of Access Consciousness. For this one-time premiere, you can join us in the end of January 2016 in Australia, Sweden, USA, or Denmark. Go to beingnewclass.com/premiere to sign up. Is now the time to be what and who you actually came here to be.
Connecting you with the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Joy Business. You're with Simone Milasas and Stephanie Richardson. And just in case you missed that, you can go and check out Stephanie and everything that she does, because she doesn't just have one niche. She's got many. StephanieRichardson.com, and she's also an Access Consciousness Facilitator, so you can find her on the accessconsciousness.com site as well. And maybe one day she'll have her camera. You know what, if you are looking for photos to be taken, headshots and stuff, I would highly recommend Stephanie. Just saying. Highly recommend her.
I'm so grateful.
Get a photo shoot with you in South Africa if you end up coming to South Africa.
Yes.
We're going there in February, and I'd love to imagine getting some photos with the zebras in the background just munching on grass. That's a great background, I think.
I love it. Business done where?
Exactly. Yeah. Hey, just thank you for saying that. If you've got any shots of yourself doing business in odd places or just wherever you do business, Joy's Business has a theme of hashtag business done where. So put them up on Facebook, hashtag business done where. Put them on the Joy Business Facebook page. We're more than happy to see where you're doing business and what's happening with you. And if you also have any requests for different shows or different topics that you want on this radio show, email OMTimes at accessjoyofbusiness.com. And as one of the adverts has mentioned there too, we've got a class coming up. It's a one-day class with myself and Brendan Watt, my partner, who you guys have heard on OMTimes as well. And it's on the 30th of January, which I think is the 29th of January in the US, and it's live streamed. So you can either come to Noosa, Australia, we'd love to meet you all, or you can jump on live stream. So it's only $250 for the day as well. So you can join up for that. Being You, Changing the World. It's the premier class around the world. So how does it get any better than that? So one of the things I wanted to come back to, Stephanie, was the actual secret weapons. Let's give away some of the secret weapons for people to to expand their business beyond your niche. So what else you got? What else is in your toolbox?
Well, one of my favorite ones actually comes from you, which is
I love it.
One of them,
that's good.
And Joy of Business, and that's how many revenue streams are possible that I haven't considered. So asking questions, in case you haven't been listening to the show very long. I'm sure that Simone has mentioned questions plenty of times on our show. But one of the things you can actually start to look at is how many revenue streams are actually available to you that you haven't considered. And you can use the clearing statement, to address any of the energies that come up around that, where you're like, I don't know. Good, bad, right, wrong, pop, all nine, boy shorts, and beyond. But you can also actually begin to look at this question as a real business question. So I would love for you actually to talk a little bit about how people, because you're so brilliant with this, to actually how do people start looking at all the different revenue streams that are available to them when they may think, for instance, that they're in the photography business, or that they're in the alarm system business. How do we actually open up beyond that?
Thank you. It's a good question, and it is one of my most fun things to do, because I can guarantee you, no matter who we do this with, people walk away and they have no idea how many revenue streams that they did have or that they could have. Because it's like a lot of the times, which we've mentioned on the show before too, most of the times the things that you find lots of fun to do and you think have no value is what you can make money from. And if you start to break things down, and it's like, if you're earning $1 or 20 cents, or $1,000 or $1 million, whatever it is, from something, that's a revenue stream. So it's like if you break it down, instead of sort of going Joy of Business, that's a revenue stream, it's like, no, Joy of Business. You have classes, you have live classes, you have live stream, you have telecalls. Then I have a book. Now, even the book alone, you have the book, then you have it in audio. So that's 2. And then you have it as an ebook. That's 3. And then I have it translated into 7 languages, soon to be 11 languages. So it's like each one of those languages is another revenue stream, which creates another revenue stream. Because then you have, say, it's Japanese, and it's like I have the Japanese book coming out soon. Okay, so then I start to have telecalls and classes translated into Japanese. And it's like, so it keeps increasing. And ask each revenue stream, how can you contribute to another revenue stream? What would that look like? What questions would I need to ask? And how can that show up? And everything it doesn't allow me to perceive, know, be, and receive that, destroy and uncreate it, right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine shorts, boys and beyond. So you can't get this wrong, okay? If you come up with these revenue streams, and maybe you're not even earning money from one of them at the moment, but it's like, well, what would it take for me to earn money from this? And start looking at that and about how many revenue streams you could have. I mean, say Stephanie decides to come to, we have a 7-day Access Consciousness 7-day class in South Africa. So say she decides to come to that. You know, you've got the obvious. She can book sessions with people like myself and Brendan and do a photo session. Then you've got the unobvious revenue stream. What's the unobvious? The one that you haven't thought of. The one that you didn't think was possible. The one that you haven't even put into your awareness yet. So if you ask, okay, what are the unobvious revenue streams that could show up that if I was willing to receive them would create more money than I could ever imagine? And everything at that is times a godzillion, right? And on good and bad, POC and POD, all nine shorts, boys and beyond. I mean, if you're willing to receive and willing to ask questions and willing to, you know, as we say, expand beyond your current niche, it's amazing what can show up. I mean, this is a beautiful resort. Who knows? They might need more photos of the golf course. They might need more photos of staff. They might need, like, it's anything is possible. Or they've actually got a rhino orphanage there. It's the first rhino orphanage in South Africa ever. And they don't take many people there because they don't want people to know where it is. Because poachers, as much as I hate to say it, are still out there alive and getting bigger and bigger. So it's not.
They're willing to expand their revenue stream.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, but what if, you know, there's pictures of rhinos, anything. And it's like, but if you go, oh, I take photos of people and that's it, then that's all you're actually ever going to receive. Whereas the universe is going, hey, I've got a whole bunch of things over here that you could do. Like my book, Joy of Business. And it's like, I could have just had that in English. That would have been very easy and a lot cheaper. But I've spent a small fortune into getting that translated into other languages because that matches the energy of what I would like to see in the world. And it's interesting. I mean, German is my best-selling book apart from English. And it's like, that's really cool. And I spoke to someone today and they were like, oh, we so want you to come to Germany. I'm like, okay, I'm going to see when I can do this. And it's like, so that opens up infinite possibilities. I have no idea what lays in store for me in Germany. All I know is that I can make the demand to go there and see what shows up. So how many of you have been trying to work out what your life looks like, what your business looks like, what your money flows look like, rather than actually just choosing? Choice creates. That's the adventure of living, my friends. That's the adventure of business. So everything at that is time to go and we destroy and uncreate it. Right and wrong, good and bad, POC and POD, all nine shorts, boys and beyond.
I love it. And the what I haven't considered yet, that part is the part that so many people, I asked a lot of, okay, so I, from time to time, go work out at a little farmer's market. So I will, I'll go out there as a person with a chair and run bars on people. And one of the interesting things is we sometimes put up a little spinning wheel and we'll either have questions on there or gifts on there. Well, the questions are really interesting. And one of the questions, we basically ask people, if you could have anything, what would you choose? And it's so amazing because adults can generally get 2 questions in or two answers in, and then they're completely befuddled. And kids can sometimes get 3 or 4 in before they get completely befuddled. But one of the amazing things is asking that question, what have I not yet considered here? What have I not, Simone was asking me about that, what revenue streams are possible, the unobvious revenue streams, what's possible there. And this is the place where I find when you ask questions in that area, because you already know the things, the things that you don't know, and you know the things that you know, but you don't usually know the things that you don't know, that you don't know. And that, when you ask questions, that's the information that starts to show up, is in that gigantic blind spot that we have. And so if you're willing, Simone mentioned receiving. Receiving is not just about receiving gifts or receiving money or receiving ideas. It's also about receiving information, and it's about receiving energy and opportunity or possibilities, opportunities. It's about receiving all of that stuff, the stuff that may or may not be visible. And what happens is as that stuff starts to show up, it may begin with a whisper, but if you continue to receive it, it grows and grows and grows, and next thing you know, it shows up in a form that you can actually touch, that you can actually see, that you can actually touch, that you can actually create, that you can actually add to your website. That's another one of the things that you do or that you offer. So I would love to ask the people listening, if you could create anything, what would you like to create? And you may or may not have a cognitive answer for that. You may not have, I want to create this, I want to create this, and you might. Go ahead and write them down. Put them down on paper. And then with each one of the things that you put down, what if you continued asking questions? So you said, if I created this, what would I like to have? What would I like to create? What would I like it to be like? And what else could I add? What other either revenue streams could be possible if I create this? And what other ideas might be available? Because what I found is that as you begin to use the creative element of asking questions, as you begin to use the creative element of really a choice and the question and demands of your own self. Those creative elements, as you begin to use them, it's not like you use them up. You use them and then you get more. So where Simone was saying, like a revenue stream, you can ask a revenue stream, what other revenue streams can it lead to or open up? And, that's how it is with creativity. It's not something that you use up. As you use it, it diminishes. As you use it, it actually exponentializes. It actually grows even more. So the more you start to, ask yourself these things, if I could create anything, what would I like to create? And right now, that may just be like, it may feel like your head goes blank and you feel sort of silly or dumb, But as you ask that question and begin to be willing to receive that information, write it down, and ask what it would take to create it, you'll begin to get more and more and more of those ideas that show up and those possibilities that actually show up.
I love some of these questions we're talking about. So please don't go away. This is our last break for today, and you're with StephanieRichardson.com. You can check it out. And Simone Milasas, AccessJoyBusiness.com, and we'll be back really, really soon.
New year, new business. Adding the joy into the pragmatics of business in 2016. How was 2015? Is it exactly as you would dream of? What if 2016 could be greater or even easier? Using the tools of Joy of Business, your facilitator, Simone Milasas, will explore how you can set up 2016 to be the year that sets you up for a future so brilliant and joyful it's currently unimaginable. What would that be like? Join her for a 4-part series starting in January 2015, January 15th, on your New Year, New Business. AccessJoyofBusiness.com/New Year.
As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is. Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at OMTimes Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. OMTimes Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business.
Hi, I'm Katrina Kavanagh, host of the I Am Wisdom radio show. I Am Wisdom is about the connection between mind work and energy work, spirituality, and living a wonderful life. Looking forward to sharing each Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with you.
Your conscious connection to a more mindful world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Hi everybody, welcome back to Joy Business OMTimes with Simone Milasas and Stephanie Richardson. Of course, I'm in the lovely Denton, Texas. I'm heading home tomorrow. I'll be home in Australia, so in the tropical sun. So one of the things I wanted to mention that you said, and you said it so quickly, and I think it's really relevant that people get this, especially if they're looking at expanding beyond their niche, is you said about the whispers. And so can you talk a little bit more, Stephanie, about the whispers? And it's like, what are the whispers? And it's like, what is that? And what do people have to do to listen to that?
Well, the whispers are, so imagine that you, I'm gonna make it a story for a second. So imagine that you live in a very, very real world. You are Cinderella and you live in the horrible household with the stepmothers. So for you, a happy place has never existed. You've never known happiness. And so you begin to ask a question and you say, wow, if I could have anything, what would I like to have? But you don't know that happiness could exist because you've never had it. You've never seen it. You've never known it. You've been like locked in a closet. And so you don't know what happiness is. So in this case, when you ask that question, what will happen is you may get either a sensation in your body, or you may just all of a sudden be able to breathe for the first time in your life. And you're like, well, whoa, what was that? I've never known what easy breathing was like. That was really interesting. And so that's the beginning of the whisper. So if you allow for that to actually grow, so however it shows up for you, whether it's just an energy that you become aware of, or an ease in your body that you become aware of, or all of a sudden you walk out into the world and somebody says something that makes your ears perk up. Those are the whispers actually beginning to create in your world. And so the more you pay attention to those, the more that you allow them to exist, the more you listen to them, the more they grow. And that's the part where the more they actually become real in your world. So all of a sudden, if you're Cinderella and you're like, oh, what was that? I could breathe. Then you can ask, what would it take for more of that to show up? If, so if I look out this window, this is that sensation again. I'm looking out the window and that sensation is showing up. Now you're doing something called following the energy. You're following the energy. You asked a question. You got information about what that would be like for you. And now you're using it as your compass to actually have more of that, because every time you make a choice to have more of any particular energy in your life, you're actually like building that up in your life. You're actively creating a life that has more of that energy in it. And so now if you look out the window and you see, you get that sense, oh, that space opened up in my chest. I wonder if I actually went outside, what would happen? Now you crawl out the window and now you have more of it. And you're like, oh, this is more of that energy. Well, I wonder what else. And you look around, and when you see a path, you go, oh, that path. Ooh, I get even more of that. I'm going to follow it. Now, I put it in a fairy tale just so it's, it's easy to talk about. But
I love
show up. Go ahead.
Well, I love that. And I also love the way you refer to it as a compass, because a compass it changes, which according to which direction you want to choose and which direction you want to go. And that's literally what I see the whispers are like too, because it's like, this is not a definition. It's not a conclusion. It's not a road that is like cemented and passed out. And it's like, sometimes it's like this, like, hey, over here. And it's like, oh, if I go over here, what is this going to create? If I choose this, where will my life be in 5 years' time? And it's not about working out the pros and cons. It's actually about choice create. choice creates,
yep.
choice creates awareness, choice creates, choice creates, choice creates. You actually have to choose something to create something. I see so many people sitting back going, oh, my business is not working, or this is not happening, or I can't find the one, or whatever they're looking for. And it's like, you actually have to take some action here. So I'm always like, well, what action steps are you taking? Or it's like, what whispers are you refusing to listen to that if you didn't refuse to listen to them would actually show you the way? And everything is that is trying to go,
yeah.
Hang on, we destroy and uncreate it, right?
Yes.
Not about pocket pot all night, choice boys around. Go ahead.
Well, just one of my favorite things is, as you make choices, so let's say that I have, I've chosen to, be the highest paid living artist on the planet. Let's just say that, okay. So I put that out there. But I also just asked to go to dinner and have a really delicious orgasmic meal. So both of these things are out in the universe. So I'm like, oh, where would I like to go to dinner? And I get a picture in my head of somewhere that I would like to go. I'm like, oh, you know what would be really good? I'd love this restaurant, called Sun in My Belly. I'm going to go there. Now, here's the thing about following the compass changing directions. So I get in the car, start heading there. Now, if instead of coming to a conclusion that I am going to this restaurant, period, what'll happen is if I start heading that way, and then all of a sudden on the way there, I see a whole group of people, and it looks like something interesting and fun. And that energy that I talked about, if you're Cinderella, you look out and you go, oh, that. Okay, so I look out the window of my car this time, and what I see is there's a whole bunch of people, and it matches another energy that I was aware of earlier with another choice that I had made. If I don't go, no, I'm on my way to dinner, period.
I have to go to this restaurant because I booked it because.
Right.
If you don't do that,
if instead I go, oh, yeah, I go, oh, wait, this is weird. This actually matches something. Because one of the interesting things is how else is the universe actually going to get you the information that you require? You will not get the information, oh, head to this random building that you don't know about, and then there you'll meet the people that'll get you to the art, to know the people who you need to talk to about getting your art in this place that you want to get it. What you do know is a restaurant. And so the universe can go, head to that restaurant, which actually takes you by the thing that would get you where you've also asked to go. That's the thing I love about the changing compass. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, well, what if you never knew how something was going to show up, yet you knew that more was going to show up? Like, if you look at your life, have you ever had less, or do you always create more? And it's like all those things that people see as, a devastation or a destruction, like, I don't know, a company or a business that's shut down, or you got fired, or you broke up with someone. And it's like, you know what? Has your life always ended up being something more? Because you end up giving it that space to create something more and invite something more, which includes those whispers and following that compass. So everywhere you've been refusing to follow the energy, thinking that you have to map your life out. I mean, how boring is that? Where you destroy and uncreate it. It's time to go seeing right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all known shorts, boys and beyond. So Stephanie, what other? Let's do one thing because we've got like 3 minutes left, I think. So I just wanted to ask, what have you got coming up? Have you got classes coming up, or people I know they can contact you for a private session? And they can also, like I said, please, if you need headshots done, if you need photos taken, not just headshots, she's fabulous. She's done some great artistic nude shots I've seen of people. She can do anything. And it's like, contact StephanieRichardson.com. Check out her website. And it's like, have you got some classes coming up as well?
I do. They're all in the embryonic stage right now. So I'm working with, I've got 4 or 5 other facilitators that I'm working with at the moment to create some really exciting new stuff. But in the meantime, if people want to come play with me, I have a radio show called The Good Girl's Guide to Being Wrong and Happy. And that is always a very fun place to come play. We've just started adding video, and I've got some YouTube projects that are in the works. And, again, I've got a whole bunch of stuff that this year is booming. They just don't have forms that you can contact me about just yet.
This year really is booming, isn't it? I feel like that too.
It is.
It's like there's been a whole lot of movement recently, and it's like, I mean, even in Denton, Texas. If you've been to Denton, Texas, you know what I'm talking about. It's like trying to find a good restaurant here was not that easy. But it's like, but things are moving. There's this space of creation, a space of possibilities that is available. So let's leave with this too. It's like everywhere that you've been refusing to perceive, know, be, and receive that space of creation, the space of possibilities, where you destroy and uncreate it, times a godzillion, right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyond. And I hate to be the old cliche of the, you know, it's the new year thing, but it's like, what if this year you did create something different? What if this year you were willing to follow the whispers and do something that you never thought that you could or that you should? And everything it doesn't allow you to go beyond your niche and actually expand your business, your life, your living, your adventures to something that you never actually dreamed was possible, and you're going beyond that, where you destroy and uncreate it, times a godzillion, right and wrong, good and bad, pock and pot, all nine shorts, boys and beyond. So we have about a minute left here, Stephanie. I'm really, really grateful that you came on here. This has been lots of fun.
I'm so grateful.
And so what tools, what questions, anything else that you want to leave some the listeners with that they can go away with?
Yeah, I would love to just add one more piece in there, and that's really asking your business, what do you desire to contribute to me that I have been so busy doing and creating you that I have refused to receive?
Nice, I love that. You know what I love about that? It takes away from you having to work it out, because your business is actually willing to contribute to you, and are you willing to see that and receive it?
Yeah. And when it's asked just like business, what do you desire to contribute to me that I haven't yet considered receiving? And anything that doesn't allow for me to
go to South Africa.
Yes.
I heard it. I heard the whisper. It says, go to South Africa and take photos of Simone. So we are at the end of our show. But I'm really grateful you came on, Stephanie. Thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you on another show, and look forward to seeing you sometime real soon. Thanks, everyone.